took our roller covers off. We got them wrapped up because we want to use these later. But in the meantime, our roller handles are pretty messy. This is pretty typical. You're going to get paint all over the sides, on the handle. You're going to get speckles on it as well. And our brush is dirty. Now we want to be able to use these in future projects, so I'm going to show you real quick in the sink how to get these cleaned up. The only tool that you're going to need is your wire brush and a sink with water. We're at our sink now, and I have my brush, a couple rollers, and then the tool that I need is going to be the wire brush. So I'm going to get some water rolling, and I'm going to show you the best way to get these cleaned up. If you can have a little bit of warm water, it helps a little bit, definitely not necessary. I'm just going to get a little water flowing, get this wet down, and I'm going to use my wire brush. Pretty common sense just to get things cleaned up. I want to clean up farther up the handle, get all this metal cleaned up. The most important parts to get clean though are right here where the spindle is. If you keep this good and clean when you store it, it's gonna still roll very freely. But if we end up filling the inside of here with a bunch of paint and we don't get it cleaned out, it's not gonna want to roll very easily, and it's not gonna last nearly as long. So this looks good and clean. Spins real easy. I'm gonna go ahead and just hang this on the side of my sink to dry. Grab my larger one. And do the exact same thing. Got that side clean, let's do the other side. Really gonna work in here to get everything all the way up to the shaft clean. Can be pretty tricky to get behind here, so you just got to do your best. Might use my finger if, yeah, that's going to come off. Alrighty, this is just about good. Awesome, looks good and clean, spins freely. Now let's move on to our brush. The brush takes a little bit more care. I'm going to go ahead and just start to get this paint coming out here. What I'm going to do is use my wire brush, and I'm going to run it down with the bristles. I don't want to come crossways like this. I want to run it with my bristles. I can also do that on the ends. This is just going to help knock out the paint, especially if you have dried paint up here. Sometimes you get dried paint all over the handle. So you can see I got some here on the handle. And right here, I'm just going to go ahead and clean some of that off. The function of the brush, though, is all here in the bristles. So this is the most important part. If you want as well, you can turn it up into the water, but if you do this, you just want to be careful. You don't want to be bending these really hard or getting them all tangled up. I'm just going to do this a little bit, and then I'm going to turn it back down. Make sure all the bristles are going straight out, that they're in line, they're nice and combed neatly. I think this is clean. Here's a good test. It's full of water. Now I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to give it a little squeeze. You see that water that came out? It's nice and clean. If I squeeze it and the water comes out and it's still discolored, you know, we were just using a blue paint, so if it was kind of blue coming out, I'd go, you know what, there's still paint in there. I'm going to clean it a little bit more. So this is good and clean. I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of water out. Now when I store this, I want to make sure that my bristles are nice and straight and pointed all together. You don't want to store it scrunched up like this. You want to make sure they're all nice and smooth, because the way you store this is going to be the way it will dry. Sometimes you can use the edge of the sink. You can see I got a nice little straight edge. If for some reason you wanted to use your brush right away, you're going from one color to the next. You could take it outside if you wanted and kind of fling it to get some of the water out, or grab an old towel that you have and you can stick it in the towel and try to squeeze a little bit of the water out, as long as you're careful. And then it's only slightly damp, and then you would be able to grab it and go right into your next color. All right, we got these all cleaned up. Let's get on with the next thing.